You can see with this fourth landscape, I experimented a bit, added some perspective. And you can see when you're adding perspective, I added these, darker trees in the forefront or the foreground to add a bit of depth to the piece, and then added the little elements in the background, keeping it simple and small to show some scale. So I want to show you how to recreate this. And what I usually do is use a pen tool to create the trees. So I want to press P for the pen tool and then start clicking. And we're going to create these trees, and what I'm doing is going to create some branches here. And just using the artboard as a guide, so we can lock that tree in the right spot. And then I'm just going to go and edit these. If it looks a bit off, I'm just going through like that. Sweet. And then I'll add some other trees as well, going through. You don't want to make it too thick because, trees, not all trees have thick trunks. And once again, and the good thing is that I'm, layering them on top of each other to add a bit of depth. I might actually just move these. Like that. Cool. I'm using this nice brownie palette as well. And then what I'm going to do is for the ground, I'm just going to find the center point. You can see my smart guides are turned on. You can press Control Command U to upload that. And I'm just going to drag a rectangle. Bring it to the back by Control Shift left square bracket, and then I'm just going to change the color. We'll use this light brown color here. And what I'm going to do is we're going to add a bit of detail into the trees now. I'm going to just lock this ground so we have that, where the ground is. And to create a nice grain effect, what I usually do is I'll double click on my shape of one of the trees. So if I double click on this one, you can see we go into isolation mode. This allows us to just see what's within this shape, and it'll block out all the other shapes. So it allows you to focus and just work on that specific object. So I'm going to use P for the pen tool and start creating some strokes. If you go to Window and you go to Stroke Panel, you can see you'll get this box pop up on the right here, and we can actually use this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start just clicking and dragging. And I'm going to change the color to this yellow here, and I'm going to press Shift X to shift it to the path, to the stroke only and not fill. And what I'll do is you can press Escape or press V to get out of that. And then I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to round the corners off, so we want it round. And actually I might change it to just a gray color. Yeah, that's fine. And then we can make it bigger if you want. And then I'll just go through and just do that the whole way through. And this is how you add some grains. Obviously you can add some depth by just making some smaller than each other if you want more detail. But I'll probably just leave the stroke at once. Okay, that's cool. So what I'm going to do is actually add a copy of this tree. So press Control C and Control F. And that's going to make a copy, as you can see there. And what I'm going to do is bring this to the front. And then I'm just going to make sure all my strokes are selected. And I'm going to press Control Y because there's a few strokes that are within the actual shape. So I'm just going to select those there. And then what I'm going to do is make sure you select the tree as well. And go to Object, Clipping Mask, and Make. And you can see that now we've just made a clipping mask, so now the strokes are within that tree trunk. If I press Escape now, you can see that it's in there, and it's added a bit of, depth, a bit of detail into the, giving some the grains and the bark. And you can just do the same for these other branches here as well, which I'll quickly do. But you can see I just get the eyedropper tool there, and you can just quickly select the same object. And then once again, I'm just going to copy it. And just make clipping mask, just like that. So really quickly you can see you can add simple effects, simple details in your trees. You can play around with colors as well. The better you get with the shape tools and the pen tools, it becomes easier. And you can work a lot faster. What I'm going to do now to create a shadow is going to copy this one here. I'm going to hold Option, drag this across. I'm also just going to change the color so you can see that. So we have a copy. I'm also going to copy this in the background. Make sure you don't select the clipping mask. So just instead of leaving it there, you just want to lock them. So you can see that, and just make sure you lock them by pressing Control Command 2 and it'll lock it. So then you can select these two shapes, and then what I'm going to do is go to my Pathfinder and go to Divide, which is this button here. Click that, and you can see I'm just going to go through and delete the shapes I don't want. This one, and you can see I'm just going to go to my transparency panel and change that, delete that, and I'm going to bring this behind the shape, just like that. So now you can see it's added a bit of a shadow, and I'm going to change the opacity maybe 60% or 50%. So it looks like this tree's in front of this one. So it's added a nice shadow there, which is looking good. Now what I'm going to do is start adding some hills in the background. Just using the ellipse tool, I'm just going to drag these out like that. And then what I'll do, I would select the anchor point at the bottom here, direct selection tool. And then go through and see these 2 points here. You can select them and press Command J or Control J. That's going to join them together. So now you can see it's joined. And I'm going to change the color, maybe a light brown like this, and then just copy it across. Make sure you bring it to the back. And that, so you can see we've added some hills, and I might make these ones smaller. Add a bit of depth, and you can even play around with the handles there to get some cool variation. And then what I'm going to do is for the trees, I'm going to go to the star, and I'm just going to drag this out. Press the down arrow key to add to make it into a one space, which is a triangle. And then I'm going to go on my transform and just select the bounding box and make it like that. What we can actually do is we'll change the color to a nice color here, or we can use the same color as the background, and then I'm just holding Alt and just copying them across. You can change the sizes or just bring it lower, so you can see that I'm just adding some different depth. We can even drag it some across here. Just keep in mind it might get a bit messy. So at the end of this, we can actually select these triangle shapes and group them together. But for now, we'll just leave it like that. I'm just going to cut off this section here, just so it's clean. Sweet, so we got that happening. And we're going to start to build our outpost. So you can see here, we've got a simple outpost. Looks really cool. What we're going to do, just use the rectangle tool again. Start dragging out some shapes. We'll make it a nice orange color. Yeah. And then what I'll do, I'm gonna get a rectangle in the middle here, just drag this out. We'll make it dark brown. Bring it down, and you'll see you'll get these rounded corners when you select the shape. If you just press A and select the 2 anchor points, you can actually just drag this round corners and it's going to round the corners for you. That's if you have CC. If not, you're going to select it and use the corner button up here, as you can see. Just make sure you select the right corners first. And we'll add some windows by just using the ellipse tool. You can drag it across like that. And we're going to scale this down a little bit. Then once again, we're going to go to the star. And then you can actually make the roof like this. And then holding Option or Alt, it actually uses the bounding box and stretches it out, which is pretty fun. Easy way to scale that up. So that's looking pretty nice. We can even add some shadows here by pressing M for the rectangle tool and going to multiply again. But we want to make sure we select the orange color. So if you press I for the eyedropper tool, you can select the orange here and go back to transparency and go to multiply. You can see there it's add like a nice orangey darker tone for some shading. You can make that maybe 70%, make it look a bit better. And then we can just move these down. Awesome. And now I'm just going to use the pen tool again. And we're just going to make sure that we have the brown color. Press Shift X to make it a stroke. And then once again, I'm going to send it to the back. And make it pretty big. And then we can just copy this across. And go to my transform panel and go to flip horizontal. Maybe we should add like a wooden section here. Yeah, make it a fill. So it's like it's on like a little platform and it looks kind of safe. And then you can use the pen tool, just click like this to show the support beams. And you can see how it's all spiky. You can actually go to the stroke panel and just round it off like that. And then make sure you bring any parts of the back that's in the way. And just adjust the strokes as needed. You can even make that stroke a bit more smaller. The middle ones. I'm just going to cut this, scissor that off so it's separate. Just like that. And we've got a bit of an outpost happening here. You can see that. Really simple to do, guys. Really awesome. And then we can add like a path. Just using the pen tool again. Just clicking and dragging. Adding a nice curve. Connecting it. And then just select a nice, select this cream color here. Once again, I want to select this. Press Shift M for the shape builder tool and then minus that off. And then we can just connect the path down this way. I'm going to go to my transparency panel and just play around with these colors. Okay, that's subtle. And then I'm going to bring it behind these trees here. And so I'm going to bring that behind, then bring this background behind, just like that. So now it looks like the path is coming here and there's trees here. We're going to add a background as well. Once again, we're going to use a nice rectangle and then we're going to play around with these colors. I'm going to select this color here in the middle and go to my color guide. And you can see if you click it, it'll give us some options. So we might go to shades. You can see you can play around with these different shades here. You can even make it like a nighttime if you want to. So we can make it like an off-white. So you can see there's a difference there. It's really like a cream color. And then, you can add a sun. Maybe in the background. Play around with your blending modes. See what effect you can get. Okay, look, there's a sun there. And for some birds, I'm going to go to my pen tool. And holding shift, I'm going to drag up. Shift X to make it into a stroke. And then press Shift W, you'll get the width tool, and this will allow you to change the width of a stroke. So you can do this. I'm going to select this, press O for the reflect tool. And then holding Option, you can click on the anchor and then make a copy. Select vertical and then click copy. So now we have a weird bird here. I'm going to select it, press Ctrl G to group it. And then bring it down like this, and we'll probably have to change the color. And then I'm just going to hold Alt or Option and then just make different variations of it. So it's like the birds are flying off into the distance. Group them together. Just like that. So you can see that. So also, that's how you make the fourth landscape. Pretty simple. Just using simple shapes, elements, and colors, you can create some nice landscapes that add a bit of perspective and depth into your vector creations.